Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Screenstars. I'm here today to bring you my review for the 2007 horror sequel, Resident Evil Extinction. The film is written by Paul W.S. Anderson, directed by Russell Mulcahy, and stars Mila Jovovich, Ali Carter, Oded Fair, Ian Glenn, and Ashanti. Right, okay, this is the next in the Resident Evil franchise, a franchise that I said I was going to review a good few weeks ago now. I did the first two and then took a bit of a break before I carried on doing the others. And this time round, this is... it's kind of a post-apocalyptic film now, this one. This is set after the T-virus has really taken hold, turned the world to shit, and, you know, Alice has become Mad Max, I suppose. There is a convoy of survivors out in the Nevada desert, led by Ali Carter's Claire Redfield and Oded Fair's Carlos, who we saw in the last film. They are then joined by Alice, who is being constantly tracked by the Umbrella Corporation and the evil Dr. Isaacs, played by Scott Glenn. And they discover something that apparently, if they can get to Alaska, it's safe there. There's no outbreak up there, and, you know, they could have a nice, pleasant existence. However, it's some distance to get there. And, you know, they don't really have a lot in the way of fuel and all this kind of stuff. But they do decide to make an attempt to get up there in the middle of, you know, all these zombies kind of kicking off and trying to eat them and munch them and all the rest of it. Right, what are my thoughts on Resident Evil Extinction? Well, to be honest, I've quite enjoyed the first two. I'd definitely seen the first one before, and I remember being quite disappointed with that. Quite enjoyed rewatching it for the second time. I thought it was suitably entertaining. Some silly moments in it. The second one, Apocalypse, I quite enjoyed. I thought there were some fun moments in that as well. And I have to say, I feel exactly the same with this one. I had a good time with this one as well. Dumb as hell, yes, but very competently made. Some fun action sequences, some cool ideas going on, and a real contrast to what we've seen before. And what I mean by that is, this one is kind of set in the blazing sunshine, whereas the others were kind of set at night. So it feels a real contrast to the others that you've seen. It feels like it's got a fresh identity and something different to tell. And it does feel like a different film in a lot of ways. We've still got the obviously evil Umbrella Corporation, and they are experimenting and trying to recreate what they've done with Alice before and essentially cloning her. They're convinced that Scott Glenn's character is convinced, Ian Glenn's character is convinced that she is the answer, and she's got the answer in her blood in regards to, you know, sorting out this T-virus. So she's kind of been a bit of a loner for a few years because she knows that they're trying to track her, and she doesn't want to kind of get, you know, put anybody else at risk, which is why she doesn't really go with this convoy or stay with it or whatever. But then she does. And lo and behold, everything goes to shit for them. So really, she did really make the right choice, keeping away from everybody. But, you know, when she does, you know, it doesn't go well for them, this convoy. But, you know, it is what it is. I did really enjoy in this as well. There's a sequence in this, and I thought it was a very clever idea. I don't recall seeing anything quite like it before. You know, we learn in this film that the crows have been feasting on dead flesh. So therefore, it has mutated them, essentially, into zombie crows. And there's a great sequence where there's like thousands of these crows descend upon this convoy and causes chaos, really. And I thought that was really well done. Quite an intense and quite exciting sequence. And then, for reasons, they decide to go to Las Vegas because they need fuel, knowing that it's a dangerous place to go. And it absolutely is a very dangerous place to go because pretty much they all get taken out by when they get there. Again, it seemed like they weren't particularly organised when they got there, even though they knew it was a particularly dangerous place to be. It was almost like they seemed surprised when they were kind of getting swarmed by zombies. So yeah, I mean, there's definitely elements of stupidity here and some dumb decisions and all that kind of stuff. But it gives you kind of what you expect or what you want. If you'd watched the first two and you'd enjoyed them and you were enjoying what you're getting from them, then you're going to feel the same about this one. Now, I do know that this one wasn't screened for critics because, as critics do, they enjoyed having a great time tearing strips off the first two films, giving them terrible reviews. Doesn't change the fact that they were successful. So they kind of thought, well, stuff you on this one. We're not going to give you any critics' reviews on this one. We're just going to release it because we know we've got our audience. And I don't think there's anything wrong with that. Why give an early review to critics that could potentially harm your film? And this, obviously, we know did well because we got more films after this one. I think in a lot of ways, this is. I don't know if I want to say the strongest, but I was definitely pleasantly surprised by this one. I thought it was going to be very much more of the same. And don't get me wrong, in one way, it absolutely is. But with fresh director like Russell Mulcahy, who obviously is who's a veteran director, the stuff he's done. If you don't know, look at his filmography. He's done some great stuff. He did Highlander. Was it? Did he do Die Hard 2? Something like that. Anyway, he is a very, very talented director, and he's done a lot of great films over the years. So he knows what he's doing with movies like this, and he went into this with a clear vision. I want to have this look different than the other two, feel different, and we'll still sew in your Umbrella storyline. We'll still sew in your Alice storyline, but we're not gonna swamp the screen with it, sort of thing. And they don't. It's definitely got a different feel to it. It's got a post-apocalyptic Mad Max vibe to it going on, and it's got some fun action scenes as well. And it feels pretty violent and graphic at times, even though you've seen far more violent and graphic films in this genre. But it does feel like they've tried to crank it up a bit. So I had a good time with this one. I thought it was a lot of fun and on par with the other two. So therefore, I'm going to give it a fairly strong score as far as I'm concerned. So yeah, let me know your comments on this one. Let me know what should be expecting with the other ones, because certainly after the second one I hadn't seen any of the others. I'd definitely not seen this one before, so I'm fairly sure I've not seen any of the others either. So let me know your thoughts on the upcoming films, and I will of course be back with more content on the channel very, very soon.